Have you ever been surfing the internet and all of a sudden you see a headline to an article or a website that grabs your attention? We call this clickbait. Clickbait headlines are the ones that are designed to catch our attention like a lure catches the mouth of a hungry fish. And what do? We click it. Like a flashing or flashy highway billboard, clickbait headlines on the internet are designed to get our attention. Here are just some of the examples. You'll never believe what happened when. This is the cutest thing ever. This is the biggest mistake you can make. Or, take this quiz to see which character you are on television. Have you ever noticed that actually some Bibles use headlines at the beginning of each section? These were not part of the original manuscripts. I assume their purpose is to help us find what we are looking for and to get our attention. The headlines in our Bibles are, in a way, clickbait. They are always accurate. They tell us what the following story or passage is about, but they don't always tell the whole story. Such is the case with the headline for our gospel lesson from Mark 5, which I saw in a Bible in my husband's office this week. It read, "A girl restored to life and a woman healed." The headline is absolutely correct. Jesus restores a 12-year-old girl to life and coincidentally heals a woman who's suffering from a 12-year-old hemorrhage. The headline is correct, but does it tell the whole story? I suggest that the clickbait-style headline doesn't get to what the story is really about. The stories accurately tell us that Jesus had some serious healing and raising folks from the dead skills. Skills which catch our attention. But how relevant is that for us today? You and I can't simulate the miracles that Jesus could reportedly do. If that level of healing power was available for us today, we could shut down all our medical establishments, hospitals, clinics, pharmacies, and just bring the sick to church. If we had the power to bring people back from the dead, we could put the funeral home industry out of business tomorrow. But we don't have that kind of power. The clickbait headline, "A girl restored to life and a woman healed," points us to a sensational event that took place about 2,000 years ago, which is all well and good, but what now? What is the timeless and relevant truth in these stories? I suggest that the timeless and relevant truth in these stories is overlooked in the headline, but it might be the most important thing happening in the stories, which is Jesus ignores taboos. In these two complementary stories, Jesus decides to ignore two taboos that were accepted without question in his time and place: touching blood or someone bleeding, and touching a corpse or someone dying. There were dozens of such taboos in Jesus' place and time, and the penalty for breaking one of these taboos was to be declared ritually unclean, unholy, or impure, which is like being temporarily excommunicated or shunned from one's religion and community. Not a situation anyone wants to be in. These two stories and others like them in Scripture are important for us today because we have taboos as well, some of which serve good purposes, such as a taboo against incest or cannibalism. We rightly have hundreds of laws on our books that prohibit us from doing things that are harmful to one another. But sometimes taboos develop that keep us divided and separated from people who we believe will make us unofficially unclean, unholy, and impure. These are the taboos Jesus ignored. Other than prohibitions against touching blood or corpses, Jesus ignored taboos against touching blood or corpses. Jesus ignored taboos against healing and feeding on the Sabbath, talking with women who had reputations, supping with traitors, such as tax collectors, touching lepers, and generally hanging out with the riffraff of his day. I am hesitant to give many examples of divisive taboos in our religion and culture because I don't want this to be one or two issues. However, from a personal perspective, my involvement in the women's priest movement clearly marks me an unholy person, someone to be excommunicated, shunned, and marginalized. My experience leads me to say that when we develop or adopt a taboo that only serves to give people the boot, then, like Jesus, we should err on the side of ignoring that prohibition. Ignoring taboos might just be the most important part of Jesus' ministry because it was the only way for him to minister to all the people. We serve a Christ who put people before purity, men and women before moral codes, sinners before sanctimonious standards, human health before holiness, compassion before cleanliness, and love before laws. Let's assume that someday, after we are long gone, stories about us might pop up on the internet, and the best possible clickbait headline would be, like Jesus, so-and-so also ignored harmful taboos.